We have now interrupted your regularly scheduled programming to bring you.
All right, so welcome back to another installment of the Warheads. I am Apocalypto Joe.
I'm Roscoe.
And I am Kana, which you should say on the screen.
And today we are back again because, as we know in this crazy world, there's no short or no loss of insanity. As you know, within the last few weeks, Will Smith has come out Q magazine article talking about his relationship with Jada Pinkett and how, they couldn't do a conventional marriage. We've been going back and forth for some 25 some odd years. I think they've been married, and their marriage has pretty much been open. But Will revealed that it was actually Jada's idea to open up the marriage. That from somebody who over the years we just looked at her as this innocent young woman that Will Smith was married to, a supportive wife, gave kids, so on and so forth. But now what I'm going to touch on is Daz Dillinger just came out and said that Jada Pinkett back in 1993 was carrying on an inappropriate relationship with Chris Kelly of the group Kross from So Def Records. Apparently he was about 14, 15. She was about 22, 23 years old. And we say this in light of what's going on with R. Kelly. R. Kelly is facing allegations, 8 counts of sex trafficking, racketeering, so on and so forth. But I wanted to have a discussion over the double standard that goes on between men and women, or women and boys when they engage in sex. Because as we know, R. Kelly's sister was the one that actually turned him out. So I wanted to put this to the panel today and have a real discussion on this Jada Pinkett situation, and also talk about a few other things that I'll bring up later. But what do you got to say about this, Roscoe?
Oh, me in particular, man. I think you hit it on the head, when you started out with saying, bringing up the double standard in this whole aspect, because what's crazy is, we know about, on the men's side when they deal with these young women and how sometimes they'll be ostracized, even though we know that, globally, this is more accepted than we like to put out to the world, but that's a whole nother thing. But when you talk about the flip side, and a woman who does this, Jada Pinkett in particular, who she's done this before, but or has a history of it rather. But Jada and this stuff it's not surprising to me, when I think of ladies and when they get away with this type of stuff, I do think about just the double standard, the double standard that you brought up. And I think about the fact that women can always hide behind the fact that, men can, of course, get away with this a lot of the times, but men will not put a whole lot of onus on women who are doing these same things. It's because it's some of the things that we've been taught in our culture. Maybe it's come from other cultures or something like that, but we're taught as men to kind of look the other way on that. Like, why would we even bring up or make an issue of somebody like Jada Pinkett, or some of these other lady stars who I'm sure have done a lot of the same things and dealt with younger dudes, but no man is going to bring this up, because it's just not a thing, so women know this. They know that nobody's going to snitch and tell on them if they running around with a young dude. As a matter of fact, with us, it's for the young dude, is anybody that's around him is going to look at him like he's winning. even knowing that situation, this is a young dude who's being taken advantage of.
So what you're saying is that mentality fosters the no accountability narrative that a lot of men complain about.
Exactly.
What you got, Kana?
Well, yeah, I mean that is a good point to bring up, because that's the first point that I would have brought to the table, which is that you know, this is the reason why, even with me being a woman, you know, I cannot agree with women, because I feel like, I think that they get away with murder, and they need to be exposed for their behaviors, the same kind of behaviors that a lot of us accuse men of are the same kinds of behavior, and even probably on a more larger scale, because like Roscoe said, they're not being exposed. They're not, you know, they're hiding behind the doors. So we don't even know how many women. I mean, I've had people tell me that women have molested them sitting in church, and these are girls. I've had men tell me that they've slept with their mother's friends. I've had men tell me that they've had sex with their teachers. I mean, they're in elementary and they're sleeping with their teacher. So I don't understand. I don't quite understand why. Maybe it's because we don't speak up enough, but I believe that there is a shift happening. And I believe that a lot of this behavior that women are not being called out on is being exposed. And even though it seems like it's being exposed in like a light way, we still kind of turn the cheek kind of thing. It's going to get to the point where, you know what, you grown nigga, what you doing sleeping with a 14-year-old boy? You know, because women are desperate. They like the D, and they want something from anybody or anywhere they can get it from. I'm sorry. When they say that women like sex just as much as men, women probably like sex more than men. So I'm just saying that it angers me, because wrong is wrong. And I'm not siding with women because I'm a woman, because I can't. You know, I have a lot of different views about us, and I'm not trying to let men off the hook. That's not it. I'm just saying, why can't the same amount of exposure be upon a woman and women and what they do, just like it is a man? It's like the man take the brunt of everything. Abuse. I mean, women abuse men too, if not more. Okay. Constantly verbally abusing the man, constantly hitting the man, constantly. I mean, we just get away with so much, and then because he did this. No, but you need to behave yourself, and you need to keep your hands to yourself, and you need to keep your mouth in check. You know.
Oh, poor Abraham Lincoln, you know, was getting beat up and abused by his wife, you know, according to, you know, historical myth, you know. So you have this 6'2", 6 foot. I know he was extremely tall, but this extremely tall dude who had an extremely short wife who was abusing him.
I know on our last show, Kana, you made mention about Chris Brown and Rihanna. Let me tell you something. Rihanna was whooping Chris Brown's ass.
Putting the flip-flops on him.
Fenty was putting them paws on Chris Brown. That's why he went off the way he did that night. But I don't want to get off into the domestic violence side. I want to kind of keep it focused on the double standard. And also, you know, this is about Jada Pinkett, because for a long time, she was looked at, she was held high in our communities. It wasn't until recently that we found out, you know, because of her red table talk, that she grew up in a very toxic environment. Her mother was on drugs. Her mother was ushering men in and out of the home. This young, impressionable girl, Jada Pinkett, at the time, Jada Pinkett, she sees this behavior. She adopts this behavior. You know, she, on her own red table talk, she talked about her addictions, her sexual addictions, her addiction to liquor. You see what I'm saying? Even Will Smith, He's on the record talking about how toxic she was in the beginning, how she was like, F you. She had the atypical ghetto hood rat mentality. And I think maybe marriage kind of tamed that, but only so much, kind of tempered it so much. And so when you're growing up in a toxic household and you see men coming in and out of your home, as her own mother stated, you can see how she would have picked up those behaviors and thought nothing of having sex with Kriss Kelly when he was just a young boy. You know, and so those are the things that I look at, because Jada Pinkett, she's just exceptional in the sense that she's in the world of television and movies. But we know that there are millions of girls or women just like her who have the exact same upbringing, but they're just not in the public eye, in the limelight. And so the same way that men harm women, women harm men too. And just to make it egalitarian, when it comes to like cheating and stuff, women cheat at the exact same rate as men, but nobody talks about that. You know, we're the ones that's called the dogs. Women are just as much dogs too. And because I know women are more sneakier than men, more crafty, more manipulative, I would even go out on a limb and say that they probably cheat more. What you got?
And that's my point.
What you got, Roscoe?
You know, when you talk about that type of stuff, it makes me think about like, and Kanai kind of alluded to some of this a little bit herself, but in a lot of cases, young dudes are actually being groomed from a young age. And I know like all of us have seen this before, where there's some older woman who, let's just say she's around her friend and her friend has a young son around, but she'll say to that young man around the mom, like, I can't wait for you to get older. Like, when you get 18, boy, I'm gonna rock your world and all this other stuff. You know what I mean? So, again, like I said, all of us have heard this being said by women more than a few times. You know, so women have actually groomed younger dudes. We could go back to the Brittany Renner story even. You know what I mean? A story that we've done. But yeah, this is an older woman who groomed a young man. You know what I mean? So it's just something that happens. But again, something that even though people are seeing it, it's visible for everybody to see. Nobody's calling it out. Nobody calls it out. And it just goes back to what I said earlier about how nobody puts women on blast for this type of behavior. And Kanai said the same thing. You know, like men could do it. You know what I mean? If we was to do it in plain sight, like women will, like imagine a man come, imagine me being with you, Joe B, and me coming to, and you having your daughter there, who's, let's just say she 13, 14 years old, you know, and me telling this young girl, I can't wait till you turn 18. You know, and the things I'm going to do to you right there in front of you. You know what I mean? There's no way you would allow me to get away with that, but women are getting away with that same behavior.
No, I'd be like, hey, creepy nigga, leave that little girl alone. I'd put my own foot so far up your ass that the water on my knee would quench your thirst. And you my dog.
I give you one of my boots to do it with.
Hilarious.
Yeah,
but see, that's why I just kind of believe too, like, if Will Smith was the one to get on TV and claim that he had an entanglement.
I think you need to say clearly what happened.
As far as what?
You and I decided we were going to take our space, and what happened?
Yeah, and then I got into an entanglement with August. That's what I said.
An entanglement?
Yes. Yes.
A relationship?
Yes, it was a relationship.
With a 20-year-old, 15-year-old girl, and he was married to Jada Pinkett. this cancel culture that we experiencing right now would have canceled Will Smith in a 1 second. He would have been done. So he would have been grass. He would have been done, burnt grass. You know, if Will Smith come out and say, you know, he was in love with, you know, Lisa Ray when they was kids. I'm just throwing a name out there. You know, Lisa Ray when they were kids, and that was his soulmate, and his daughter got on Willow got on, or Jaden got on Twitter like Willow did about Tupac, and get on there and say how much her mom, I mean her dad misses Lisa Ray, and you know, and that's their soulmates, and we just want you to come back. I mean, they almost was writing a letter as if he was living. Like they know where he at, but they want him to come out the woodwork somewhere.
Yeah.
That would not be, especially black women, because black women support black men in the movies and music a lot. Okay, we buy the albums for our sons and daughters. We buy the CDs and all that. We send them to the concerts. You know, some of us do. I don't, but I mean, it would not even pan out the way it would. I mean, when Jada said she was in an entanglement with this boy, I mean, she cried. She played the role, the crying role, the damsel is hurt role. Or I'm just so I shouldn't. Oh my God, yeah, I did, and she crying. You know, that's a. No, well, she was kind of acting like she was crying. I mean, what I'm saying is she was giving off the emotional act. You know,
it was Will who had the sad face.
Well, I mean, she was still like,
yeah, I did it, and what?
All day.
I mean, I don't know. I kind of thought I saw her trying to be a little bit emotional.
Oh, maybe that's what it was.
Because she was saying that Will was so supportive of her, and she was so thankful that she has a husband that she can talk to, kind of like Aisha Curry and Steph, kind of like how he did her when she went out on record on national TV talking about, you know, I want some attention and I don't want it from my husband. Like, who does that? Like, don't you want it? I want attention from my husband. I don't want no attention from no other man. Like, I don't get it. Like, these women are like crazy. Like, I don't get it.
That's the ultimate. Hold my hand while you get cut.
and like Kevin Samuels said today.
Italian.
like Kevin Samuels, he said something about. He said what Will need to do is be the Mike Larry that he was on Bad Boy. He said if I was his PR, he would become Mike Larry overnight. He would be a full-blown Mike Larry.
See, the thing of it is she got Will by the balls. They got all these businesses together, alimony up the wazoo. See, to me, Jada Pinkett is a coward. And let me tell you why. Tupac is the one who imprinted her. Tupac is the one she loves. Tupac is the one she's talking about on Instagram every other week. She needs to get down and dig a hole next to Tupac as we speak, but she's too much of a coward to walk away from Will Smith and not ask him for any money. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because she knows if she goes out there, she ain't gonna find nobody better than Will. But she done already just came out and said she ain't never been in love.
That's funny. Do you have a bucket list? That's a good question. I actually do, but it's not
physical.
It's just not physical.
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm right there with you.
I absolutely have a bucket list. I really want to learn how to love.
Never. Now, we know that's a lie. We know she loves Tupac. I think as far as I think she was really referring to Will Smith. She's never loved Will Smith. And yet she has no problem staying in his home. His house is actually called Her Lake. He named their estate Her Lake because he was trying to make her happy. He's been bending over backwards. Like when he tells the story about when she turned 37 and how he started planning her 40th birthday. and how unthankful she was, talking about that birthday was about his ego. All he was doing was trying to make her happy. And she made him feel bad about trying to plan a big bash for her. Had Mary J. Blige there singing and stuff. I can't think of a more ungrateful woman in the world, but I know a lot of them exist. They just aren't in the public eye like Jada Pinkett is. And that's the ultimate point about all this, because we see the ungratefulness going on in the world. We see how high the divorce rate is, but we also see that it's the women that file for the divorce 70% of the time, and it shoots all the way up to 90 if the woman has a college degree. So Jada Pinkett ain't the only ingrate. She's just the most prominent right now. But I think these situations are going to be revealed more and more, especially as times get harder. We're going to see more and more of this coming out, where people are like scrambling for a better man that has more money because the economy is calcifying and dying.
But you know what my question is, though, cousin? My question is, how is it going to be taken? Because people are desensitized to the behavior that when we talk about as far as what women do. It's like we see it, just like Roscoe said, we see it, but it's like, yeah, she did it, ha ha ha, and they just go. I mean, these stories are short-lived. They don't drag out women like they do R. Kelly, like they do Bill Cosby. Like, they don't drag these women out, and you can't tell me they're not doing the same thing, because we have the stories, but it's not dragged out. It's not a programming. It's not on air over and over. It's talked about 1 or 2, 3 times, and it's gone.
I could tell you what the issue behind that is right there. And it really comes down to calling out bad behavior. And that's something that we kind of have an issue with from a cultural standpoint. I could say that's something that's big. We have a problem, and I don't know if you want to tie the no snitching thing to this, but it kind of correlates for some odd reason. But we just don't get into putting that business out there, or putting the onus on it, putting a spotlight on it, calling people out on this stuff when we should, saying that no, this is the wrong thing. And just allow people to do the wrong thing in front of our face and not say nothing is what we kind of have been used to doing, so calling it out is the issue, so I think if we really with us on this show, putting a spotlight on it and saying, no, this is a thing, this is a wrong thing, and having other people in turn do the same thing, that's what's going to change the time. So we have to really enforce people really putting the spotlight on these bad things and calling them out when it's happening.
At any rate, this is a subject that I think will continue on. I think we touched on a lot of really good points where this whole Jada Pinkett dealing with Kriss Kelly, the lack of accountability. What we really want is accountability for both men and women. We don't want to make it seem like we're just bashing women, but we know that there's clearly an imbalance in society. When all that entanglement stuff came out, Jada Pinkett should have lost all credibility, truth be told. You don't get to sit up here and be married to a man, have that entanglement, knowing that if the shoe was on the other foot, that Will would have been counseled for doing the exact same thing, taking advantage of a young girl with mental issues. As we know, August Alsina was dealing with a lot of mental and emotional issues. He was being manipulated for sex, attention by a married woman, and it was really Will who wanted out. And so when we talk about abuse isn't always a man hitting a woman. Sometimes the emotional abuse that women dish out, those scars last for life. You don't see the cuts, but the man is scarred for life. A lot of times that's how abusers are made, because of the emotional abuse. But I don't want to prattle on. I want you, the public, to draw your own conclusion, as we always say. That being the case, we are the Warheads. Like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell notification. Warheads out. Cuz, what you eating?
Shout out to Madison. Hey, Madison. Hey.